Welcome to Mask Making in Bulk. This is Susan from Susan's Art Circus, and I'm going to start right in with tip number 1, which, as you can see, is cut out as many masks as you think you can handle. Rather than cut 1 or 2, I normally cut out 15 to 25, maybe sometimes even more. This allows you to put everything together and do all of your sewing steps in mass. So once I'm done cutting, as you can see, I pin everything together. My first seam would be my bottom seam on this particular template. And I go through and I serge everything. I serge the bottom seams, the top edges, and the bottom edges of the mask, and do everything at once, which brings me to tip number 2, which is clothesline sewing. Don't stop to trim any threads, just keep right on going. Once you're finished ironing, and you can see I have these on my ironing board, I iron everything flat, flip them over for as many as I can handle on my ironing board, and then I clip all my threads. And that's actually tip number 3, to clip all your threads at the same time. Don't bother stopping, don't bother trying to do it while you're ironing. Just keep going. Keep going. Another tip that will save you a lot of time is, since masks have several steps to them, there are many places you don't have to backstitch. You just need to do a straight stitch across. The inserted picture will show you that edge towards you can be stitched once with no back stitching. And the next picture opens up that seam, which is then going to be turned around and sewn again. So when I do the last seam, then you can backstitch across that, but it's not necessary to do until you do your last pass over that particular seam. Through every step, I clothesline sew. So you can see in that picture everything's still connected. I take it right to the ironing board and I iron everything down all at the same time. I don't bother clipping anything again until I'm done. I iron all those little seams flat, and I'm going to flip the whole thing over at some point and do the entirety of the back side as well. Here's an example of trying to put the nose piece in. This first piece is in real time. I'm folding it in half to find the center. I'm going to put a pin in. I'm picking up the nose piece. They have adhesive on them, so I'm going to peel the back off. And you can tell where I'm going with this, right? If you did one by one and then took it to the sewing machine to sew around, it would take you forever. And the masks that I make are the folded type, and they do take me a long time to do, even when I sew 25 at a time. But if you were to do this one, you'd be at the sewing machine for a month. So in the next little segment, and I've sped it up just a smidge, but now I'm stacking them, and I'm going to pin the centers of a whole stack, set it aside, and then I'm going to go back and put in all the nose pieces all at the same time. And then I pin the ends of the nose piece so that when I take it to the sewing machine, I know where to start and stop. And again, I clothesline sew all of them, all the way across. done sewing, you can cut several dozen pieces of your elastic, take your safety pin, and thread all your elastic casings in your lap in front of the television set, or wherever you might spend time that's not in your studio. Tie your knots, and boom, you are done. It takes much less time when enacting all these little tips and tricks throughout, and you can make dozens and dozens of masks at a time.